Emotional maturity, what is it? Let's use this working definition to define it. Emotional maturity is the ability to identify, regulate, and express emotions to improve or maintain the dignity of self and others. And this is a really broad definition, and I want it to be inclusive of so many different things because emotional maturity is not just one single moment in life, it's a lifelong process. And it is going to help with your ability to improve and or maintain your dignity as well as the dignity of others. If our emotional growth does not include the awareness of other people and it's just inward focus, then we've missed some component of that emotional maturation. And so I want to be able to help remind clients and then also myself that emotional maturity involves how we help other people as well as how we help ourselves to become our best self, rooted in truth and love and other aspects and values that are important to you. So that is the working definition that I give and work by to help clients to mature. All right, what are emotions? Here is the definition of emotions that is coming from the American Psychological Association, which is a really great resource for us in the counseling and psychology mental health field. But it's kind of a working definition also that I think can be broken down to help clients digest it a little bit better. So emotions are reaction patterns that are brief, involuntary, and physiological that helps us to interact with the world. Essentially, emotions are hardwired into our brains to help us be able to survive. We need them in order to keep us safe and to help us, again, maintain those relationships with other people and also help us to be consistent with who we are and what we are experiencing as we move through the world. So, this is emotions. This is what the definition of emotions are and how they help us. Emotions are going to be experienced as a whole body experience. Whenever there's something going on the outside of us, then there's going to be a response internally with our brains. There's different circuits and parts of the brain that's going to talk to different muscles, different organs to prepare the body to respond because it's been, again, hardwired and developed into our brains to help us to have an appropriate interaction with the world. Because if we don't have those emotions, it's going to be really difficult for us to be able to navigate through a world that's constantly moving and changing, and ebbing and flowing. So let's take this example. Let's say you're walking down the street and out of nowhere, for whatever reason, there's a lion charging down the street. Don't know where the lion came from, but your emotion of fear, which is an innate emotional response, is going to respond immediately to either run, fight it off, or freeze up. Or it may do a little combination of all three, but it's going to do one of those three things because it is your brain has appraised, meaning it's assessed how important this thing is and what you need to do to respond to it. So without you really being too deep in thought about what to do, your brain and your body has already begun to respond to it by pumping more blood to your heart, to your extremities, so that you can make a decision to keep yourself safe. So, although fear for some people can be crippling, fear and anxiety is a little different, and I'll talk about that in a later video. But fear is an immediate and imminent response to an immediate and imminent threat. Um, so that's where the brief portion comes in. Once that lion goes away, however it goes away, then your brain says, okay, I can no longer see it with my eyes, hear it with my ears, touch it, or smell it. And so now your body can go back to this rest and digest mode, which is your parasympathetic system kicks in, and then it is able to go into relax mode and then go on throughout your day but you'll just have an interesting story later on in life, but you will be able to go about the rest of your day not being in fear because the threat is no longer with you anymore. Anxiety is a feeling which is different from fear. Anxiety is going to think about what would happen in the future and prepare for potentially another lion coming out into the street, and so you don't want to have that experience again. So your mind says, "Hey, I'm never going to go back outside because I don't know when and where a lion may come out." So anxiety is more so focused on the propensity of what could be in the future versus fear is responding to something that is imminent, immediate in the moment. And your body is responding to how to navigate through that imminent and immediate process right then and there in the moment. So that is kind of the difference between emotions and feelings. Feelings are going to be brief, they're going to be involuntary, and they are physiological. Okay. So let's look at the function of emotions. What do they do? How do they help us? And why do we even have them? Sometimes my clients are just like, listen, emotions are ridiculous. They're unnecessary. They're too much. And I'm like, hey, I get it. I feel you. They can be a lot to navigate through, especially if we don't really understand the value or function of them. They may just seem like they're just pointless and get in the way of doing things. But there are three specific functions of emotions. The first one is to communicate to others. The second is to communicate to self. And then the third, it helps us to move or it promotes action. So, whenever we're thinking about emotions, they are going to do those three things. And we really have to check in with how our emotions are going to play a part in each of those things, especially when we're looking at cycles of repetitive behaviors. We want to be able to say, well, okay, what are the emotions that I feel right before I do this thing that I don't want to do? We have to look at, well, what are you going through emotionally in that moment? And that emotion is also connected to a belief. So we have to look at all of those three things to help us to really see if we are stuck in a cycle that we can really get ourselves stuck out of just based off of being aware of our emotions. Okay, so those are the three functions of emotions: communicate to others, communicate to self, and to promote action. So I'll break these down a little bit and look at each of these functions. So the first one is communicating to others. How do we say how we feel when there is no words being used? So there's three ways that our emotions are communicated or expressed in the physiological sense. One, body language. You can express exactly how you feel emotionally and what's going on based off of your eye contact, your proximity, your speech, your facial expressions. There's another video that I gave about action tendencies and some six universal emotions, and I kind of gave some examples of that. But here you can see that these pictures are really expressing a particular emotion. And the reason why our face needs to and our body language needs to express these emotions because that's giving someone else some information to how they are to respond to us. So if I make a face like that's communicating something that, hey, either you're disgusted with something around me or I'm maybe even disgusted at the person. And so that's going to probably communicate to the other person, okay, wait, this may not be the best time to maybe approach her. This may not be something that I want to even get into with her. So that is going to express to the other person that, hey, something is uncomfortable with me and I really probably need some space. Also, being aware of your speech and your tone. So, when we are upset, sometimes we can have certain word choices that can let other people know that, okay, she need a minute, or hey, she wants me to come close. Even just now with my voice changing, when I wanted to say, hey, come close, I want you here, I want to be with you, my voice and tone went up, the volume went up. So, those are some ways that our physiological bodies will express the inward emotions that are going on. I want to also point out that sometimes for different people and different clients who have different neurological disorders or just divergent ways of thinking, that is absolutely okay. Some of these expressions may not be able to be expressed or received in the typical way. We just have to find some different ways to interact with them so that we can still stay in community and connection with them. All right, the next one is again remembering emotions communicate to self. So here are three things that we can think about when we're trying to figure out, well, what's going on? What are my emotions saying? So one is to pay attention to your internal physical responses. Is your heart racing? Are you breathing heavily? Did your breathing patterns change? Are you sweating? If you're not a sweater and you start to sweat for some reason, maybe you're having a particular emotional response that is requiring you to pay attention. Second is internal thoughts. So, this is something I tell my clients a lot. Hey, what are you thinking? What's the belief behind whatever emotion that came up? And so sometimes we have to take a pause and ask ourselves, well, I'm feeling, um, I'm feeling, I don't know, maybe sad, and asking the question, okay, well, what are you thinking about? What's the thing that happened, and what was the way that you interpreted to bring about that sad emotion? And then body movement, paying attention to your own body movements. If you are fidgeting, if you are, kind of tapping things, or if your body language is kind of hunched over like this, all of that is pointing to some type of indication of an emotional experience that you're having. And we have to be aware of those emotions communicating to ourselves, because our internal world is trying to say, hey, pay attention, something is happening and I need you to focus in to help me get through this. So these are some ways that our bodies talk to us and our emotions talk to us so that we can listen. Okay. Number three, the last one is actions that influence our emotions, or emotions that promote actions. So, whenever we're doing something, our emotions are going to impact us in our relationships, our health, our career. They're going to they're going to move us towards some type of action. If I am excited, I'm going to pull you closer. If I'm afraid, I may push you away. If I'm uh, what's another emotion we can think of? Angry, right? There's going to be some level of action behind each of those emotions, because that's what they do. They help us to respond in a way, so that that need of that emotion is met, and is being able to be released in in a healthy and specific way. So thinking about, we'll talk about this a little later too, but thinking about those emotions that we just talked about, maybe some fears, some sadness, or even joy. How do you respond to those? And what do you normally do?